Hi everyone, Budget Stark here. Thanks again for tuning in. We are going to be checking out Toy Seoul in Hong Kong in December 2016. We're going to be talking about some of the things that we can see there. Every year they always have a large gaming community. This is the PlayStation area, people queuing up for that. Generally, PlayStation have the largest exhibitor floor space because Asia always has a big gaming community. This year, some of the more well-known figure manufacturers aren't here. Storm Collectibles, for example, aren't here. King Arts aren't here. And Hot Toys are not here. And you know that they're not here because a large area of floor space generally is taken up by them. And if you can see right to the top there, where the red seats are, elevated above the ground floor, generally they are all taken up by people waiting to order exclusive figures who won the lottery for the pre-orders. This year, no one queuing for that because Hot Toys are not here. But at every exhibition, people who are here are the cute girls, showing off the exhibitors' products, doing marketing for them, and I have to say it worked for the Pikachus for the Pokemon Go because my kids love Pokemon and I had to pick up a Pikachu for them. This one I particularly like because it actually has 6 interchangeable pairs of eyes, so you can get completely different looks for them. I know my kids are going to flip out. At the back, they have a USB stick, which is in the shape of Pikachu's tail, which quite a novel little gift, I thought. Let's check out some of the main figure manufacturers. There was threeA and threezero, and every year that Toy Seoul has been on, they actually have a really diverse display setup of prototypes, figures that are for sale, and figures which are sold out but they have made recently. I thought the Transformers figures were pretty damn good. They had the Optimus Prime and also the Starscream. I've actually uploaded a fuller version of the threezero and the threeA display booth, so check that out. I'll put a link in the description below. This is just more of a snapshot of some of the things that you can see that were displayed. A lot of collectors worldwide are asking where can you buy threezero figures. They actually have an online store which is on threezerostore.com. You can see that in some of their display plaques where they're showing their figures. One of the major things that I was quite surprised by is that Hong Kong is not too fond of horror type figures. So the Halloween Michael Myers figures probably doesn't have much of a following in Asia, but I know worldwide this is something that is actually quite popular, along with other horror genres like The Walking Dead, for example. Not too popular in Asia, but again, overseas, in the UK and US especially, I know The Walking Dead are pretty popular over there. The first thing that you notice is the huge diversity of the different type of genres and licenses that threezero and threeA have. What I mean by diverse is that you've got horror genre, you've got cartoon characters, film characters, you've got the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles out of the shadows here with Bebop and Rocksteady, some fan favorites I'm sure, along with some Japanese manga types, and you have Transformers. Like I said, a huge diverse line that's actually quite impressive when you see other figure manufacturers more focused on stuff like Star Wars, Iron Man figures, Batman, etc. So it's good that there is a company that is pretty diverse on what they can provide for collectors. The last clip here at this booth was Ultraman, and he looked pretty good. Nice color scheme, and that iconic Ultraman pose, which majority of Asian collectors will know about. The next major figure manufacturer here was Enterbay. They had a really nice display area showing their 1 in 9th scale articulated figures. The general vibe that I get from these manufacturers is that some of them are slowing down on the 1 in 6 scale 12-inch size figures and going for something a little bit smaller. Maybe because of space constraints, maybe because they want to attract a new, younger generation of collectors or teenage collectors. So they're going at maybe 1 in 9th scale, which is around 9 inches, maybe up to 10 inches, or 1 in 12th scale, which is around the 6-inch mark. But keeping the high level of detail that we know from these manufacturers. Soap Studio is another company that's doing these smaller size figures. They're going for the 1 in 12th scale Batman and Bane, and also Arrow and the Flash. And you can see here some of the accessories, and they stand at around the 6-inch mark. They have a little bit of a diorama background also. They have a 1/12 scale remote controlled tumbler that's operatable from your iPad. They also have things like the Mind Set for controlling a game using brainwaves. A video link will be in the description below for the full display booth for Soap Studio, as they have quite a diverse range of products. A company that I've never seen before called HQ Comics was on display, and their booth was really nicely done. Very nice light ups and setup. They specialize in robotic vehicles and more robotic look type of figures. I was quite impressed by their paint app, but also their diversity in their designs and engineering. It's something that is quite unusual. I've never seen them before, and it was just something very different compared to other robotic vehicles or spaceships that I have actually seen. They may well be a relatively new company because everything that's shown on this side of the display booth are actually all prototypes. They only had one item on display for sale. If you're interested in mech, keep a lookout for this company. Maybe some interesting stuff will be coming out from them. Another smaller company is called Pew Pew Gun. Check out their website, pewpewgun.com, for their robotic figures. They're actually quite well known for robotic figures. This is one of the very few that's a human design. If you look closely at the engineering and the overall look of the robotic figures, they have, to me, the feel of something like a Chappie, or maybe something from a robotic version of District 9. Interesting styles, design, coloration. It looks very articulated also. Because it doesn't have any clothing, there isn't any restriction on how you can pose it up. And you can see here some nice poses you can get out of them. They have a cross between something like the 1000 Toys synthetic figures and something like a crash test dummy. So look out for these guys if you're into those types of figures to play with and you're looking for extreme type of poses, because I think this can create those type of dynamic poses. I think viewers are starting to feel and understand that robotic characters are very big in Asia. So therefore that will simply explain why Iron Man is such a popular character over in Asia. Sentinel has a shop opposite Toy Hunters over at Mongkok, which is in CTMA Center on the second floor. They have a lot of Iron Man characters. Their figures are around 7 to 9 inches in height, depending on obviously which one you pick up. Their versions of the figures are not like the movies. I would say they're much more in line with something like the comic books or even the cartoons. I would also even say something like an artist's impressions of the characters, but it does follow the War Machine and the Bleeding Edge armor, stuff like that. 1000 Toys had a very small display there, and they showed something which I wasn't really expecting. They had a 1/12 scale of their 1/6 scale figures, the synthetic humans. Maybe the figure industry is moving slightly away from the 1/6 scales. The look of these 1/12 figures, they look as articulated as their larger versions. They stood at around 5.5, 6 inches tall. Next to them, I don't have a clue what these figures are. I'm not even going to pretend to know what I'm talking about. What I did notice is that the paint app is amazing on them. Because I don't know much about what's coming next, I'm going to put on a little bit of music until I come to a point that I can commentate on. Here we come to Big Boys Toys. I can commentate on this because we're talking about Street Fighter characters. Big Boys Toys have been around for a lot of these exhibitions. They make these little dioramas that light up and have sound, and they have all the favourite Street Fighter characters. Ryu, Ken in their signature moves. I know a lot of these have been released already, but it looks like that this company may be releasing a huge line of them because they've got Chun-Li in her signature lightning legs, moving across to Guile in his sonic boom. So for those who are familiar with this line, it's very popular in Asia. It's something that pretty much every kid's childhood would have grown up playing. Because they're pretty small, they're around, I'll say around 8 inches across, about 4 inches deep, maybe 5 inches deep. It sits really easily on a desk, and because it has a background diorama as well, it looks really nice as part of a small display setup that you can have in a very small area. You don't need something like a det-off or a big display area to fit a lot of these together. They did have one prototype which hasn't been seen, which is the E Honda doing his lightning hands, which hasn't quite been painted, but it looks pretty good on that design. So good job to Big Boys Toys there. First, for figures, have on display 2 Tekken characters. They're pretty big, they're around 19 inches high. They have King from Tekken 5 and also Jin, both characters that I actually played myself when I played fighting games. So it's nice for those collectors who are looking for something that has a big display presence. Because they're 19 inches, you're looking at pretty much something like a quarter scale. They are statues, they're not figures, there's no articulation in them, so it comes with one of their more iconic poses from the game. I'm going to talk about now 2 major highlights from the Toy Soul 2016 in Hong Kong. Number 1 is Magnum Toys and Amos Workshop. They had a ridiculously large diorama display. I'm talking 6 foot high, 4 foot across, maybe 3.5 foot across, and it's just a lot of work has gone into this. You can tell how it's been displayed and set up. Now, looking at this alone, you just think it's a diorama on one side, but then you go to the side, you have 3 different levels, each with a different type of characteristic for them. So at the bottom level, something like an Iron Man display or a workshop, and then moving up to the higher level, you have like a guy sitting watching television, but you'll see why that television is so impressive. And then going to a higher level, you have something like a soldier who has a huge weapon stash, guns, grenades, ammunition, etc. And then right to the top, just a straightforward balcony type of display. So what is so special about that television that I showed you on the second level? Well, it's a working touchscreen television. Let's check it out. Also, the light switches on the side switch the television on and off, and the left-hand side light switch switches on and off the lights for the whole diorama. So I know that the designer Amos Workshop has put a lot of time and effort into building this ridiculously large display, which I'm sure is a custom job and I don't think is going to be for sale. That was one of the highlights at Toy Soul there. The second highlight was seeing a 1:6 scale Robotech Cockpits from Kids Logic. I've got the full video, I'll put that in the link in the description below. Check that out. This is a huge diorama piece. It is a limited edition, only 300 in the world. It comes with a hard or a metallic certificate of authenticity. It comes with 2 figures. It has a working LCD screen where you can put in different types of animation or media for that display that is on that monitor in the cockpit. It has a Bluetooth speakers at the bottom. It's just something which is so large because it's around 3 feet wide, just over a foot deep, and about 20 inches high. Huge presence and will definitely be a centerpiece in your collection. That's all I want to show you guys from Toy Soul December 2016 from Hong Kong. Thanks for watching and catch you all at the next video!